Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime Kane. Today I'm going to be giving you part 6 of What If Naruto's one of the Legendary 7. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and stay in tune for the rest of the what ifs coming your way over Anime King 2 and Anime King 3. If you're new, yes, you heard that correctly. I did have 3 channels, Anime King 2, Anime King 3, which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family, and thank you for all of your help and support. And yeah, without further ado, what do you say begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last time we left off, Naruto and his group were going to undertake a very dangerous mission, as they were going to assassinate the daimyo of the Land of Lightning. They couldn't let any trace of Kiri get back into this, as they were going to pin it on the other elites of Kumo. So this had to be done perfectly, and not to mention, they couldn't even bring their own blades, just in case if they fell in battle. The blades would be passed down to another suitable wielder, other members that were going to become the next 7 Ninja Swordsman, and the evidence of Kiri being there had to be erased. Even the members of the 7 Ninja Swordsman were surprised by this mission. It was a rather dangerous one, but one that they were going to partake in the same way. On the other hand, Naruto was going through a lot of conflicting things with himself. Things about his past, about his family, as he was able to give in completely to his blade, to try and bond with it completely. It showed him things to break him, as Naruto saw himself dressed in a strange armor, along with many supporters slaughtering everyone, and they wiped out Kiri completely. But Naruto's dominance over the blade was too great, as the blade could not fight him anymore, and it submit, no longer siphoning off his life force, as Naruto felt the power wash through him. Meanwhile, Tobirama was meeting with Sakamoto, as Sakamoto told Tobirama some interesting news about the past, that he had met Naruto before all of this. Danzo had took credit for something that Naruto did, but Naruto did it and stayed out of the spotlight because, if he did not, the Uchiha clan would have lost hope in the village, because Danzo was sending them out to be sacrificed, and if they found out about that, well, chaos would have ruled. Tobirama was more sure that Naruto was his son, but there was so many blood type mixed inside of him, which he was sure that Naruto didn't even know about. Ino came and she gave Naruto a present, as it was a 3-prong kunai, specially made, as Naruto had something for her as well. It was a necklace from his mother, as she was shocked by that, as he wanted her to have it. This mission, the both of them knew that it was going to be dangerous. Naruto even spoke to me, as he wasn't sure if he was going to come back alive. The time finally came though, and Naruto was utterly angry when he saw me on the group, as Mijutsu told him that the Mizukage had signed off on this. He didn't know how she managed to get Mizukage to sign off on this, but he didn't want her here. As he looked towards all of them, he saw the members of his elite team that fell under his command, but with that they head out. They went so high up in the air that it was hard to breathe, and then they jump, going down towards the barrier. They didn't understand how they were going to slow down or stop. When Naruto released one of his jutsu, Ash Release, as black wings form on their back, he calmly phased him through the barrier, and given the thunderstorm that was going on, it was not registered, as they had diminished their chakra down to the last, smallest point. As Naruto threw one of his kunai towards Meijutsu, he then flashed inside, and they had successfully infiltrated the place. So yeah guys, was basically as we left off. You guys can switch across the place, check out your sub so you be in this new episode. The rain was pouring even more. The ferocious winds swept through the trees. Random dangerous lightning strikes came down. Through all of this chaos and destruction, one human carefully kept himself hidden, his red eyes scanning everything, Naruto nodded as he saw a squad of Komo ninjas passing. Judging from their argument, this was a patrol. He needed intel before he could bring his squad deeper in the enemy lines, and he needed to get that intel from the enemy. His chakra was suppressed down to the bare minimum, so they could not sense him. As he started to trail them, the easier option would be to kill this patrol and extract intel, but that would blow their cover. He needed them to think that they were safe until the very last moment. He noticed all of the men were taking direction from the woman at the front. He found his target as he pulled one of the 3-form kunai that Ino gave him. As he watched carefully, he waited. A powerful thunder strike then came. At that very moment he threw the kunai right in front of her. She had no chance to do anything as he appeared. In a dark flash, as his eyes gazed into her soul, 3 seconds, that was all it took as he was gone. He watched as he returned back to where he was. She shook her head in confusion, as Naruto had marked her just in case he had to end it. Fortunate for her, she didn't remember, just like he planned it. He cursed though. This patrol had no information on the whereabouts of a daimyo, but he did learn that there were several hideouts across this mountain, one of which the royal family was located at, but that was on top of a 15,000 feet high mountain. This tactic was brilliant. These mountains were almost impossible to climb. Humans without chakra had never been able to climb it because the rocks were steep. Even shinobis using chakra against the rocks, they had a violent reaction. So this was a well thought out plan. He did not have the strength to fly his entire squad up that high. He couldn't even fly himself up that high. He wasn't able to use that jutsu towards his perfection like that. If only his brother was here. He shook his head as he returned back to the focus. He had to get his team across these treacherous mountain line first. There was many traps out here. 3 Andrew patrol units, and plus the border patrol. Soon they will be facing very heavy action. Timeskip, to his credit, his team did not flinch when he relayed the information that he had gotten. He couldn't help but respect their resolve as he waited for them to speak up. You're looking at something that we can't even see, but we will follow your lead, Commander, Minjuta said, as all of them had determination in their eyes. As Mei watched as Naruto looked towards all of them before he gained a thin smile on his face. We go to war tonight, he said. All of them nodded as a heavy rain started to settle. The sun started to peek through the clouds. Venturing outside right now was too dangerous. In the night, in the silence, that is when they will move. As Naruto was going back out to take watch, but Minjuta stopped him. You should rest, Minjuta said in a friendly tone. I can still, don't try to shoulder everything alone, Naruto. Minjuta cut him off. Just like how we're relying on you, we also want you to rely on us. As Naruto couldn't help but realize how similar Minjuta was to his father when it comes towards your belief. As he relented and gave him a nod, as he moved deeper into the cave, Zabuza offered him a can of water, which he took, and Haku offered him the military rations. He gave the both of them a grateful nod. As he sat down, he saw all of them looking at him. He was confused. What, he said? Just curious about the pretty face on that mask, Amara said, which made him blush. As the group started to laugh, except for Mei, who sent a glare towards Amara. Still, Mei also wanted to see his face as well. A part of her felt like Ino was very lucky, but a part of her scolded herself to even think that way. He was married. She shouldn't be thinking about those things. As Naruto pointed towards the entrance, they turned as they saw Main just standing there, confused. As they turned back, as they saw him throw away the wrapper for the military ration and seal back the empty container. As everyone blinked in surprise. Sorry, Imrai. Maybe some other time, said Naruto. How did you eat and drink so fast, Haku said. As Naruto simply shrugged, which just pissed them off even more. Before they could drag him off into another conversation, he lied down and tried to get some sleep. Time skip. Mei hesitated to walk outside as she saw Naruto sitting there. Commander, she said. As he looked back at her, she was glad to see that most of the anger in his eyes have subsided. He gestured for her to sit down. As she sat down, silence was between them as Mei looked at the setting sun. He spoke. I'm sorry, Mei, he said. She blinked in surprise on hearing him apologize, but he only gave her a smile. I was too harsh on you earlier. I was angry, he said. I did intrude into your plan. The fault is mine. I'm sorry, but I just want to protect the ones who the village depend upon, she said, as she hoped that he could understand why she did what she did. He sighed as he passed his hand through his hair. You're a very important shinobi, me. Your existence is a reason why people can sleep at night in peace. I wanted you to watch over the village, but instead you did the opposite and came on this suicidal mission. I want you to remain safe, so if we fail, you can protect the village in our stead. I'm not sure everyone else share your feelings, Commander, she said, as she remembered the scorn and distrust they thrown upon her, just because of what she contained. I can never understand your pain, me. Being a Jinjulki is a painful life, but despite your hardships, you've turned into a fine shinobi who see the betterment for the people of your village. One day, the villagers will also see what I'm seeing right now. And what is it that you see in me, Commander, she asks, in a hesitant tone. A hero, said Naruto. Her eyes widened on hearing those words, and judging from the calm look in his eyes, he meant them. You have a loving heart and a wonderful soul. It is those two things that make you strong, me, that allow you to continue to protect the village, despite not receiving recognition for your sacrifice. You never gave up, and even now you set aside your own well-being to protect your comrades. One day, they will see you for the hero you are. In fact, they've already started, said Naruto. Mei's eyes became moist. She remembered the hateful looks that she got from the 500 first before they entered the Battle of Osaka. But once they came back, there wasn't so much scornful look from them. In fact, a few of them actually nodded towards her when she passed them, as a few tears rolled down her cheeks. She tried to wipe them away quickly, but yet he just stood there calmly. He did not laugh or mock her for showing weakness. You're a good man, Naruto, she said. He looked away on hearing that, knowing that it was far from the truth. He blinked as she extended her right hand towards him, with a smile on her face. Friends? She asked hopefully, much to his surprise. Naruto had never felt so disgusted with himself before, as he knew that he was her enemy. His very existence was a threat to Kiri, and someday his secret will be out. He didn't mind if she hated him after that, but that reveal will destroy her faith in people when she finds out. You either die a hero, or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. He remembered his father's words from long ago, and realized that they were so true. As he shook her hand, he knew what he had become. Time skip. Mei watched as Naruto explained the plan of action to the team. Essentially, he wanted them to split into two halves, one led by him and one led by Kisame. Each squad will have 4 members and target the enemy. Team Namikaze will be made up of Haku, Mainjutsu, and Mei. Team Kisame will be made up of Kisame, Zabuza, Imurai, and Jinpachi. While Naruto's team will encounter and neutralize the Undual Black Ops guarding the forest, Kisame and his team will neutralize the border patrol that is made up of Kumo regular military force. They thought that they could go in without confrontation, but they could not. As Mei shuddered at the thought, imagining if they got to the mountain, but then they were cornered, they would be slaughtered. So they had to go in, take the mountain, make their way towards the mountain. They will have a small chance of opening, because when they realized that the border patrol was not contacted in, then they will send more forces to investigate. But by then the team should already meet up and make their way towards the daimyo. After all, they should be appearing like homo ninjas that were hired from the daimyo's own family to take him out. That will fracture the trust between Kumo and the daimyo and his advisors. That could probably end the catalyst of this bloody war. Everyone clear about the strike, Naruto asked. We will neutralize the target and mark the bodies with one of these seals, said Kisame, as he showed the tracking seals. That is correct. These seals shall allow me to sense the bodies with my power, and I will make them disappear forever, without a trace, for the enemy not to investigate. You will turn the bodies into ashes, Haku said. As Naruto nodded, that's the way of a Black Ops, he said. That will keep the enemy busy trying to locate their comrades, or even the bodies if they're dead. We will use that time to scale a mountain. Mainjutsu, keep your summon ready, because our extraction will be violent, said Naruto. Mainjutsu nodded, as Naruto looked at them one last time. For Kiri. All of them got a determined look in their eyes as they repeated those words. For Kiri. Time skip. With Team Namikaze, Mainjutsu watched as Mei and Naruto charged by his side in the forest as Haku was in the trees. To keep fire from above, they had to fight the enemy in hand-to-hand combat and use minimum ninjutsu, so the barrier could not detect it. Even now he feared that they were already detected, but Naruto had shown him that the sealing tag that he placed on their armor would keep them invisible to the enemy, sensor, and the barrier team. The enemy wouldn't know about them until they came face to face. As Mainjutsu saw the enemy camp up ahead, as he heard Naruto unleash his blade. Execute, said Naruto. The first female envoy on duty barely saw the three-pronged kunai pass her. The next second she saw red eyes staring into her own. Minjutsu watched as Naruto severed her head in one single strike. He didn't stop there as he grabbed the flying head and stuck something on it as he threw it right in the midst of the enemy envoy camp. Purple smoke exploded outwards as the two guards gasped. But in a second they were down as Haku hit them with senbons in their neck. They were dead before they even hit the ground, the poisonous senbons in their life. Several envoys rushed outside, but they got caught up in the purple smoke, the poison that was spreading everywhere. Team Namikaze on the other hand rushed right to the poison. They already got the antidote in their system. As Minjutsu saw one of them going through hand sign, the performer winged jutsu as he came in front of the man. Minjutsu ducked and placed a seal on his leg as Mi stabbed him right through the throat before kicking him straight into the camp. The enemy exploded in a shrapnel bomb that wiped out a lot of the enemies that were in front of them. Those seals are nasty, said Mi. As expected from an envoy officer, let's go, Minjutsu said. Meanwhile, Naruto placed away his blade and pulled out two three-pronged kunai. As he moved into the smoke, cry of pain and panic could be heard. The few envoys that were strong enough to fight had to dodge as needles came raining down from the trees, as several of them got hit, as Naruto's red eyes peered through the darkness as he cut down enemy after enemy, passing by two envoys. By the time he was behind them, their throats were severed as they collapsed. He narrowed his eyes as he saw a hidden envoy in the tree, who had got out before the smoke had infiltrated the place. He was already speeding through handstand to perform a wind jutsu. Naruto threw his three-pronged kunai towards him. The man caught it right before he could stab him in the face, unaware that it was moving too slow. As Naruto appeared before him, Naruto's sword was already embedded right through his chest. As the man looked down in shock, delight leaving his eyes. As Naruto looked down to see that there were 20 of them still left, all of them came together to close any blind spot they might have. As Naruto saw Mi and Minjutsu moving towards him, but it would be too late. He allowed his chakra to leak from his body in the ash form and fall right over the 20 survivors. He looked towards Haku in the tree and gave her a nod, and she nodded back. As the both of them threw several barrier seals across nearby trees, as Naruto clapped his hands together and trapped his own two comrades in the barrier along the remaining envoy members. Haku whistled as Minjutsu and Mi moved back as Naruto made them exit the barrier right to the end. As Naruto couldn't allow the envoys to refocus, that would just mess everything up, so he had to ash release. Explosion. Haku's shielded her eyes as a bright light enveloped the barrier, and then everything went silent. The barrier fell apart as Mi and Minjutsu watched. The camp and everyone was gone. All that remained was a charred earth. Minjutsu touched the dark soil. These are the ashes of the man and woman that were there a moment ago, turned to ash. As Naruto landed beside him, he looked towards looking into the eyes. Nothing. They were cold, rootless. Those eyes that looked so much like a Sharingan. Those red peering eyes that made him look like death itself. Meanwhile at Kiri, Genjutsu was very angry. Things were going slow with Tobirama. Very slow. He also had other problems to deal with, other than the war. He stared at the unconscious man that was being dragged in front of him by the two envoy officers that held him by both arms. What made Genjutsu more angry was that he knew this person. He knew this Jonin. He was one of the top ranking officers from the Hunter Corps. Lord Second, there is no mistake. Kenji has confessed to his crimes and admitted to be a spy of the Hidden Stone, Genjutsu. With his hand as he made the man brought him towards his cell, where he will be shown Kiri hospitality. But his mind was already on other thoughts. How many more wolves do you think is existing in our home? I don't think that he's the only one. I suggest that we do a thorough background check on every shinobi, under all respective branches of the military. That will take too much time, Genjutsu said. We need to weed them out now. How the hell was he supposed to win a war if he can't even trust his own men? Understood, Lord Second. I will form a small squad of envoys who are loyal to the village. Together, under my command, we will weed out the traitors, the man promised. I want to evaluate the man that you choose for this mission before we start, and not a word to anyone else about this. It could fracture the morale of the troops. It will be done, the envoy commander said. Is there any support that you require from me? The Mizukage asked. As the man nodded, it's actually about one of the shinobis I want to recruit for this mission. She is infamous for being one of the best interrogators among the hunters. I want to recruit her. What's her name? The Mizukage said. If someone had caught this man gaze, Genjutsu was interested to hear who it was because this man was the one that recommended Naruto to him and for the seven. And that turned out well for everyone. Ino Namikaze. The Mizukage tensed as he heard that name. This was a dangerous mission for everyone involved because no one knew how the traitors would react when they realized that they were being hunted. Could he really endanger Naruto's wife like this? But he dismissed those thoughts. His loyalty was towards the village first, before one of his subordinates. You can recruit whoever you want, including Ino Namikaze, but first, do a complete background check on her history and report it to me. Only post my approval will she be made a part of this team. The same procedure for the rest of them as well. The Mizukage said, "It will be done, Lord Second," said the Envoy Commander. The man hesitated, but he spoke. "I will do a complete check on Ino and the others. But what about my check?" "Leave that to me," Genjutsu said. "Besides, I trust you. However, for precaution, your check will be done by me." "I'm ready, Lord Second," the man said. Genjutsu trusted him, but still, he had to find all the location of all the spies. In this time of war, having spies inside this village was a very bad thing. Time skip. As Naruto looked up towards the top of the mountain, well, he tried to. Not even his red eyes could see up there, no matter how hard he tried. If they had chakra to use on this mountain, they could use it rather easily to climb it. But without it, it was suicide. Are we scaling that, said me? The mountain went straight up to the clouds. Genjutsu saw Naruto bring out his 3-pronged kunai as he passed out one to each of them. "How the hell are we gonna scale that?" said Sabusa in disbelief. As Naruto pulled a kunai in his hand before throwing one to the ground. As he threw it straight up, he then vanished. They watched as the commander reappear 100 feet high and catch the kunai that he threw. He then threw it straight up again before he stuck it in the wall. Everyone saw a long line of rope came straight down towards them. By the time they looked back up, all they saw was flashes going straight up until they could no longer see it. But they did realize what he was doing as they saw more and more kunais were embedded into the wall with more ropes attached. After a few minutes, he flashed back down to the ground to the kunai that he had left down there. He collapsed to one knee. His eyes were bleeding. As he took several deep breaths, Commander Mi said wordly as she stepped forward. She came to a stop when she saw the blood from his eyes vaporize. Through her sensory power, she had felt distress. His body was under doing that so quickly. But now it was recovering. In less than 30 seconds, he had recovered as he stood in front of them. "I hope you have steady hands," Naruto said. "What kind of hell were you put through to become this strong?" Jinpachi said, as he never imagined Naruto could be so powerful. "I still did not reach the top," said Naruto. "We'll have to climb the last 500 feet. The hard way," he said in an apologetic tone. They sighed at his modesty. He already did so much. This for without chakra was incredible. Yet he proved that even without touching the mountain, he was able to do something incredible. As Naruto showed them the best way to stab the kunai and where to place their foot, he also showed them the weight that he placed on the rope. He calculated everything, so it would not break on them for them to fall. His mind was working a mile a second as Genjutsu watched with nothing but utter shock. Naruto's mind was incredible, but Naruto was so calm. He was so calm it meant that he had done it before, just like their jump from the sky. Demon, killer. He remembered those words. They popped in his head. That is what the Kinkaku Force said when they saw Naruto. Mei had used 3 tails of her power, but yet they laughed. But when they saw Naruto, they were afraid. They recognized him. As certain thoughts were popping in Genjutsu's head, but he decided to focus on the mission right now. As he stabbed the kunai right into the wall to pull himself up, he felt like Naruto's red eyes were on him. Timeskip at Kiri. Ino sat calmly in her chair as the others in the room looked at her grimly. Even if their faces were covered by their mask, she could tell their intentions. She saw Sakamu Hatake in the group standing with the envoys. If only these people knew there was another spy in the group apart from her. She could only imagine how dumb the Mizukage would look if Sakamu Hatake, who was second in command of the Envoy Black Ops, were also revealed to be an enemy spy. And he was not the only one. Having such dangerous knowledge made her a risk. That is why Sakamu was here. If she showed any signs of betraying the village, he would kill her before Kiri could get their hands on her, even if it meant sacrificing his own life. But it would never come to that. She wouldn't let it happen. The Envoy Commander began his jutsu over her. Ino Namikaze. The Mizukage said she felt the Envu commander cursed a jutsu, trying to make her speak the truth. But they already walked into the trap that she had designed. The Envu commander gave a nod towards the Mizukage, telling him that the cursive jutsu was activated, but he froze. When he saw a pair of Sharingan eyes, Ino stilled her breathing. When she saw Mikoto Uchiha trap the Envu commander in her genjutsu without anyone noticing, the 13-year-old Uchiha, dressed in Envu gear, standing behind Sakumo, gave Ino a hidden nod. The Envu commander's hand was on top of her head as she connected her consciousness to the man. With Mikoto's Sharingan and her mind control, they made the seal vanish rather quickly. "Where were you born?" the Mizukage asked. "Kiri," Ino said calmly. As the Mizukage looked towards the Black Ops commander. "It's true, Lord Second," the commander said calmly. The Mizukage nodded in relief, not knowing that it was them that made him confirm that lie. They were altering his memories. To him, he believed that he told the truth. He would never know. Meanwhile, Mei gasped. In exhaustion, she pulled herself up and stabbed the kunai into the rock. She looked down. The tall trees now looked like dots. Above her, she heard Haku. As everyone was getting exhausted as the wind was getting rather thick, Mainjutsu, on the other hand, this mission was one of the toughest of his life. Even if he prepared himself for a situation like this, his resolve was being tested over and over again. A few minor rocks fell on him from above, forcing him to grip his kunai even tighter. He looked up to see Jinpachi get his footing right. As the commander was able to reach a ridge, as all of them signed relief as they were able to sit. "Everyone get ready. I'll teleport you here one by one. Imrai first," said Naruto. She gave him a nod. As Naruto teleported her, she appeared as he caught her. She had an alarmed look on her face. "The hell?" She gasped in relief and exhaustion as she collapsed. As Naruto looked towards the rest of his comrades waiting, his own chakra reserves were shrinking, and he doubted the others were fearing him better. One after another, he pulled them up until Mainjutsu and me was left. "Your eyes are bleeding, Commander," Haku said, and she tried to catch her breath. "Take a breath for a while before pulling these two up," said Kisame. Naruto was about to take that consideration until he heard a cry. As he looked down to see the last part of Mainjutsu rope snap, Mainjutsu curse. As he had a few seconds to reach, but in his haste he allowed chakra to seep in, and once the chakra touched a rock, Mainjutsu! Haku yelled in alarm. A violent explosion happened the moment Mainjutsu's hand connected to the rock. As his chakra had came in contact with it, he was falling and bleeding badly. As Naruto put in strength as he threw his kunai, he appeared in mid-air. As he threw it once again, this time it stabbed right into Mainjutsu's shoulder. He flashed back up to the ridge as the both of them collapsed. Naruto grew amazed as he looked at Mainjutsu. A good chunk of his shoulder had been blown off due to the explosion, and he was bleeding badly. There was also small rock sharpness that had burned into his flesh that were making matters worse. At this rate, he was good as dead. "He's finished," Zabuza said. "Shut your mouth. We can still save him," Haku said. As she tried to move towards him, but she was stopped by her fellow swordsmen. "The Mizukage will have our heads if Mainjutsu die," Jinpachi said. "We cannot stay here forever, Commander. We need to climb the mountain, and with the state Mainjutsu is in, our extraction plan is screwed," said Kisame. "Perhaps we should retreat before we face any more losses," said Mei. "Commander!" As Naruto looked down towards Mainjutsu and felt conflicted, the mission came before everything else. But as he looked toward the squad and saw the fear and worry in their eyes, it made him remember. Flashback, 15 years ago, a 9-year-old boy stood in front of shinobis from his own village. Unlike the man and woman that were arguing, he was composed and calm. The person leading this meeting was calm as well. They looked exactly like the 9-year-old boy with the blonde hair and the same eyes. Beside him was a red-haired boy. The older boy placed a calm hand on the shoulder of his brother. "Don't worry, Nagato. We will not lose," as he gave my eye a smile, as his face was covered by the face mask. "Big brother, why are they saying that we can't win? Are we gonna die?" Nagato asked, confused, as he was hearing from his brother that they were gonna win. But these people say that they can't win. Minato clenched his fist, seeing the fear in his little brother's eyes. As most of the Uzumakis had fear as well, the enemy outnumbered them 4-1. It was another attempt by Kumo to seize Uzuland, and this time they had launched a massive attack. Their smaller village barely recovered last time, and they didn't have enough shinobis to defend itself. Minato Namikaze was no stranger to war, having lost his father early in life, made him become a shinobi. At the very beginning, his superiors realized he was not an ordinary child. He was faster than most adults, By the time he turned 8, he was an expert swordsman. He recently became a chunin. His people called him a genius, but Minato knew that he was capable of doing what he can do. Because of the woman in front of him, Inu Namikaze looked towards her eldest son, as she was swelling with pride. He reminded her so much of Tobirama, the way he carried himself, and the way he protected his younger brother. "Minato, what do you think?" she asked, as she referred to the battle map. He stepped forward as the crowd went silent. Even the veteran commanders in the room couldn't understand why their commander trusted her son so much. Granted, he was powerful for his age, but... He pointed towards a section of the map as Inu smiled at that. As she gave a nod towards her son, he had seen through the enemy weakness. "The enemy outnumber us, and we cannot survive a full-fledged battle. We barely have 500 fighters against their 2,000. We will follow the plan I've extracted already," said Inu, as she was in charge of this force. Granted, by the Uzukage. But, a chunin said, "We can take them, Commander," a jonin shouted. "Only a coward will back down from a fight," someone scolded from the crowd. Inu couldn't help but sigh, as arguments started to spread. She watches her sons use the chance to slip away from the meeting. Once the meeting was over, she was able to make them fall in line. It had not been perfect, but she was able to put them in line. They will follow through their plan tomorrow. She was able to track her younger son. She wanted to see her boys first. It gave her great pride to know that they care for each other, and always look out for one another. She had been scared that Minato wouldn't be able to accept his half-brother, but he was a kind, older brother that looked out for Nagato. Both her sons are quite strong, for their age. Even some Uzumaki's calling them the great reincarnation of the Senju brothers. But they were far from the truth. She landed in the first run as she saw both of her boys standing in front of each other, fully armed. Nagato was the first one to unleash his most dangerous arsenal, as Inu activated her own Sharingan. The bloodline passed down to her because of her father being a Uchiha. She watched Minato activate his own red eyes. Unlike hers, his was not complete. Inu could only imagine the force that he would become if he unlike his own eyes, if he was able to gain to his full potential. As the battle started, she watched as chakra in the form of ash was released from Nagato and hovered around him as he pulled out his tanto. He made a handstand as Ash rushed forward towards his eldest brother. He is getting better at controlling his Kekinkai. "I wonder how you'll respond, Minato," Inu thought. Nagato ignited the ash as it turned into a wall of raging fire, as Minato had not moved from his spot. He raised his finger as he summoned water from the air. It reminded of Tobirama as it clashed in the fire. He then threw his tanto towards his brother. Minato could see everything thanks to his half Sharingan that turned his eyes red with no Tomo inside, as Nagato could not because of the mist all around them. As he made a single hand sign, the next moment he catched the tanto that flashed past Nagato's face. As Nagato felt the tip of the blade against his throat, he surrendered with a smile on his face. "Elder brother, you gotta teach me the school jutsu. It's mother's, isn't it?" As Minato removed the tanto from his throat. "Only if you keep that secret from her and follow my training." I will. Imagine her surprise when she found out that the both of us had started to master her Hiroshin jutsu. Minato smiled as he ruffled his brother here, earned a laugh from him. Inu clenched her fist in anger. Her son. The both of them were the light of her life. The both of them had great potential. They had the potential to become Kages. As she saw it inside of Minato, how could she condemn their future to darkness? Of the Black Ops, those Kage had approached her many times with the subject before. Sooner or later he would demand, and no longer request. The village was not blind to the potential of her sons. Minato was the strongest they have ever seen in potential wise since the Clan War era. They wanted to join the X program, Uzu, first Black Ops unit that would protect the village from the shadows. If Minato was recruited, Nagato would not be left behind. He would follow in the footsteps of his elder brother. What was she supposed to do? Both of them were alert as she landed in the open land, and she gave them a smile, before it turned to a challenging smirk. As both of them smirked as they looked at each other, they then ran towards their mother, but instead of attacking, she enveloped them in a hug. As Nagato hugged his mother happily, but Minato saw something. Fear. Time skip. Inu heard ruffling at the entrance of her small tent. As she saw her eldest son, "Nagato?" she asked. "He's fine, asleep like a log," said Minato with a joke. "Come here," she said. As he hesitated, "You're not too old yet," she said. He sighed. As he walked over, she wrapped him up in a hug. She removed his face mask as she saw that he was afraid. Even after all these years, since Yaiko's death, he feared to lose anyone that he loved. He had few friends. Most of the time he spent around his mother and brother. He was growing up so fast. One day he wouldn't be a little boy anymore. You can do it, Mom. As she looked in his eyes. We cannot overwhelm the enemy force the way they are now. You taught me. It is better to attack and divide and weaken the force. Then you unite as a strong one and take on them separately. The ships will be approaching in a few days. If we take them out and lure the enemy deep in our lands, we can strain their strength. And we can win this. The others don't believe in my plan. They think it's too risky. And we can lose more territory if we don't win, Inu said. I believe in you, said Minato. Her eyes became moist as she saw the determination, the unwavering strength that he had in her and her plan. The village is a key. We exist because Uza exists. If we fail, there's no future for our people. We cannot let father's home, our home, to be destroyed. I am sure the others share the same feeling as well. So we will stand by you till the end. So please believe in yourself as well. Tears were falling from her eyes. Why do you believe in me so much, Minato? She asked. No matter the pain or hardship that came your way, you pulled yourself up to the realest of a ninja. You swore to protect Uza, our comrades, your sons, with all your heart, everything. Even though you're trying to protect us all. You and father are my heroes. He said, that bright smile on his face. I wish your father could see the man you have become, she said, with a proud smile on her face. Time skip. Inu looked towards her small company around her. The intel that they got from one of the captured shinobi said that the supply ships should be coming tonight, while half of her company take on the enemy force on land. She and the rest of them here will destroy their supplies. She saw both of her sons standing, the both of them fearless, ready to take on the enemy forces. Minato picked up his hand off the ground. They're here, he said. He had the same sensory ability like his blood father. As she thought about Toburama, there was once a time that she had loved Toburama. After all, he had saved her when a common client, higher, both of their clans at defeat an enemy territory. The few months that they spent together, she was able to see the softer side of him. But it all fell apart the day the Senjus and the Uchiha united. Her clan refused to ally themselves with the new hidden village, and her younger self had believed in that mistake. Her son had been born not long after their clan was wiped out. It was not like she didn't want to reach out to Toburama, but she doubted that Konoha would accept any Namikaze clan survivors. Not when their clan was clearly at war with Kumo. Hoshiram was a pacifist, and if push came to shove, he would sacrifice her and his own nephew if it ensured peace in his village. A man who could betray his own best friend and murder him was not someone that she could trust her child life with. But now another war had started and her sons were in danger. The guilt of never telling Minato about his true father, it haunted her till this day. Her son was smart. He knew that Yaiko was not his father, but yet he never asked her. He cared about her feelings too much. Maybe once his conflict was over, she could make him meet his father. Let's go, everyone, she said as she saw the ships on the horizon. As everyone waited, they waited for them to get close. The wait, it was horrible. Your heart was beating as you wait for the untimely attack. Remember, we need those supplies. Try not to destroy them. The crew are free game, Inu said. Understood, Commander. They whispered to her. The moment they were in perfect range, she gave the signal. The first to react was Minato as he flashed the hand sign. Water style. Whirlpool swirl, he said. Gigantic whirlpools were created as many of the ninjas started to panic on the ships. Inu looked towards Minato as she saw his Sharingan, showing nothing but pure hatred for the ones who killed his father. Dispose of the crew, grab the supplies, sink the ship, she ordered, as they grabbed their kunas and launched it in the air. As Inu looked towards her younger son, Ash released. Laser circus, said Nagato. The ash came from Nagato's body and grabbed a hold of all the kunas that were in mid-air. Elder brother. As Minato came over and placed a hand on his brother's forehead, it was like his brother opened his third eye as he could see the images, and he could see their chakra, the enemy, and the kunais flying through the air. It's time to end this, Nagato. For father, Minato whispered, as he saw his brother hesitated. Nagato clenched his fist as he released all the kunais down in the convoy. The two boys rained death down on the enemy. The scream of the dead and dying rained on the beach until silence remained. The whirlpools were now gone, leaving the broken ships and the precious supplies. Can't dance anymore. How disappointing. As she looked towards her eldest son who said that, before she could say anything, both of them run towards the ships without any fear. He reminded me of Mother Uchiha from the old days. Inu clenched her face as she turned towards the man in his late 40s. He was one of the few that survived the clan war era. Akuma, what are you saying? Inu said. These two are more similar to Uchiha brothers than the Senju brothers, as most of our people believe someday this world will tremble before their might, Akuma Uzumaki said. Inu did not think much about that, but those words remained in her heart as she ordered them to sink the ship. A few hours later, by the time they got back with the supply, everyone was in a victorious mood until the shinobis that were engaged in enemy forces, the remaining ones, came back. The broken look on their face dampened everyone's mood as they heard what was coming for them. Her eldest son looked calm despite everything. She knew what she had to do. Nagato, go back to the village and get reinforcement with Akuma. But that's an order. Obey, she said. Nagato flinched at the cold tone. He felt a hand on his shoulder as he turned to see his elder brother, as he gave him a smile. We're counting on you, said Minato. You'll be okay, elder brother, asked Nagato. As Inu gazed softened at that, she saw the hesitation in Minato's eyes, but he quickly hid it as he poked Nagato's forehead. Of course, idiot. It's me who's supposed to look after you, not the other way around. Kami, you can be so annoying. As Nagato chuckled at that as Inu smiled, Akuma gestured for Nagato to follow him, with a few other children around their age as they made their way. Minato smiled seeing his brother disappearing. A part of him was happy that Nagato was safe, but this would be the last time he saw his brother. You can go with him if you want, Minato, Inu said with a smile. She had discussed this with him a lot of times, but to no avail. Even if she hated to put him on the front lines, he was too powerful to keep in the rear. But he simply gave her a smile. I won't leave you behind, Mom, he said. She bent down as she looked in his eyes. Minato, there's something I've not been telling you, she said. What is it, he asked. The Mizukage and the village elders are interested to recruit you in the special Black Ops unit, the very first of our nation. You are a very exceptional shinobi. They want you to protect our nation from the shadows, said Inu towards her son. Like the Kinkaku from Kumo that we're hearing about, he asked. She nodded, as this unit was being created to deal with the Kinkaku and any special ops that might create in the future. This was a perfect chance that he wanted to get revenge against the ones that took Yaiko. I'll pass, he said. She was shocked as she looked at him confused. I became a shinobi to protect the village and honor father's wish. But there's something more important I'm fighting for, he said. Well, what is it, she asked, as he touched the face mask his father gave him. That I'll protect my family no matter what comes my way. You and Nagato are everything to me. So, you better get used to having me around for a very long time, he said, with a cheeky grin. As he was pulled into a warm hug, he heard his mother sniffle as he placed a hand on her back. She didn't say anything, she simply embraced him. She had been so worried. She kissed him on the cheek. You truly are a kind child, she said. Don't do that, I'm a grown-up now, he said. The both of them then sensed it, as their Sharingan activated at the same time. Time skip. Minato had been in a few battles. He remembers his first kill at the age of 7. He could still remember the look in that boy's eyes when he took his life with a kunai to the throat. He could still remember how he choked and drowned in his blood. He wasn't able to eat for 2 days after that, but mission after mission, the bodies kept on increasing, and it was now an instinct, a part of his heart felt remorse, knowing that he killed those with family as well. But he had to protect his family as well. As he looked towards hundreds of Kumo force charging at them, he knew what had to be done. As he removed his tanto as he looked towards his mother, who nodded towards him. Half of their force had been wiped out in the earlier mission. When they tried to divert the enemy attention, the enemy did lose a lot, but now they were more vicious to charge in. Because they lost their supplies, they had to do this otherwise they wouldn't make it. It was 200 Uzumaki clan members, and there was nearly 1,700 bloodthirsty force staring them down. Inu steeled herself as she flashed through hand signs, summoning jutsu. The enemy arm came to a stop as it was a poof, and then a roar. A humongous wolf with dark red eyes appeared. It had 3 tails. It was brown, sharp claws that could rip through flesh easily as it was releasing hot breath from his mouth. As Inu stand right on top of the beast, as she looked towards the enemies. I'll create an opening. We stop them right here, she said. On her command, the wolf released flames from his mouth as she released a burst of air. The flames and the air collided, creating that scorching wave that rushed towards the enemies. All the earth style and water style users rushed to the front, but something happened in a split second. That inferno of flame split into hundreds of fireballs that rained up to the sky. They then came back down so quickly as they smashed right into the enemy, as Inu had her hands locked together. As the fireballs crashed on the enemy like a barrage, ripping through them, burning them to ashes. Charge! As the Uzumaki strike team moved forward, the Uzumaki support rained down kunais and explosive tags, blowing apart the enemy ranks. Minato watched as they were gaining the upper hand on the enemy, but then suddenly a scream that made the Uzumakis collapse, clutching their ears. "Don't falter!" Inu yelled, but something so fast. As Minato saw it, it was a red blur as it slammed into the giant wolf. As the thing had punched the wolf away, the thing, whatever it was, turned towards them. A demon, a monster. Vicious red eyes, with a dark red chakra surrounding it. 4 Jonins jumped towards it, but it teared them apart. It had 9 tails, swinging behind it. As the rest of the enemies charged, "Minato, hold off that bastard for a moment. I'll take care of the others," said Inu as she turned towards them. Minato watched his mother wreak carnage right through the army alone. "Hey, ugly," he said, as water exploded from the soil, knocking the creature away. As he turned towards the man around him, as they all looked towards him with a new fountain of respect in their eyes. "Trap him in our strongest barrier. Let's split into 15-man teams. Team 1, battle the beast. Team 2, hold the barrier. Team 3, reinforce. Team 4, protect the supply and barrier team," said Minato quickly. They all quickly agreed as he split off with a team following behind him as he went through hand sign. 4 violet flame formation. As they brought up the 4-sided barrier, the beast was intelligent as it moved towards the only open area. But a blast of water slammed into it, throwing it back inside the barrier as the beast growled furiously. "Minato, what do you think?" As he looked towards the beast. "It has more chakra than all of us combined, so we cannot tire it out. But we must maintain our distance, or we're as good as dead. I have an idea, but I'm gonna need all of your help." "We got your back," the eldest Jonin said. As they all focused towards the beast, everyone switched to long-range ninjutsu. Minato threw a kunai up in the air. The beast noticed as he sent 4 of his tails straight up in the sky to tear the boy apart. As the team down below launched devastating attacks, but the tails were still coming towards him, the beast was focused on him slowly as he twists and dodged all of the tails until one of them nicked him on the leg. The pain was scorching, but yet he ignored as he launched 4 kunais all around it. "Sealing style," he said. Blood out. The sealing tags on the kunais glow as black chains emerged from them and grabbed onto the beast, wrapping it up. Another chain emerged underneath the ground and stuck into Minato's back. Minato felt the violent chakra trying to fight against his life force. "You mastered that jutsu?" Akira Uzumaki said in shock. "It's your life force against his power. That's too dangerous," another Uzumaki warned. "Stop him before he threatened the village," Minato said, as he dropped to his knees. The anger that this beast had, the malicious intent, it was a lot. It was a human corrupted by evil chakra, maybe one of the tail beasts. Yet the man inside his chakra was dark and sinister as well. He could not allow someone like this to get past him. He coughed up blood as his comrades moved in to kill or restrict the beast. Inu flinched as she saw the last of her man was taken out by a group of Kumo Jonins. It had been more than an hour since the combat begun, and almost all of her forces were annihilated. When the strike teams were eliminated, the barrier team jumped in, and they were taken down as well. But the enemy lost a lot as well, as more than half of their forces lie dead across the battlefield. She looked towards the barrier. There was only one Jonin holding it up. The rest of the members were killed. The man was wounded, and he was trying his best. As she looked to see her eldest son stand against the monster, fire style, "Majestic flame destroyer," she said, as she released a majestic flame from her mouth that incinerated the enemy in front of her. Meanwhile, Minato panted as he watched the barrier fell. The last Jonin died from chakra exhaustion and succumbing to his wounds. As he gripped onto his thumb to his mother, was all alone out there fighting the enemy. He couldn't leave her alone. As he looked towards the beast that came rushing towards him, it drove its tail into the ground, destroying and forcing him away. As he picked up all of the weapons around his tail and threw it towards him. As he looked up as he saw them coming, "Forgive me, father," he said. "At the very least, I can die on my feet." But he saw something flash in front of him as his mother appeared. taking all the attacks head on. She then flashed away. She appeared above the beast and sliced its head clean off as he ran over towards her, the weapons falling from her. Her wounds were already healing up. When she turned towards him, he saw black lines all over her face. Mom? I'm fine. This is Sage Mode, an ability that allows one to use the natural energy in the area. It is more powerful with more enhancements. Advanced healing powers is what I've developed, she said. What do we do now? Everyone is, as he looked towards his comrades that lay dead on the ground. Inu placed her hand across his forehead as he felt his wounds healing, and his chakra started to replenish. She then knelt before him as she hugged him. He was confused as she whispered something in his ear. His eyes widened as she then pulled back. I'm so proud of you, Minato. I wish we could have spent more time together. But remember what I said about Tobirama, and look after your brother. Promise me, Minato. Tears fell from her eyes. The shape of her Sharingan started to change. He wanted to scream against the order in his mind. He felt afraid as he nodded. Without consent, the remaining Kumo force started to charge towards him. It's apparent due to protect your children. Now, go and live my share. There is too many of them. Come with me, he said. She was surprised as he was trying to fight back her genjutsu. This was the exact reason why he had to survive this night. There's a reason why our clan was feared across the world. You have started to master our power, but that is just the first stage. Even Tobirama know about the second stage. Tonight, I will show this enemy the final stage. It's a forbidden jutsu, one that ends in the user's death. I hope you never master this, but if you do, I wish the day never come when you get to use it. You and Nagato are the hope of Namikaze clan, and my hope too. I will love you guys always, she said. He could not stop himself as his legs started to run away, but his eyes were on his mother, who got surrounded as he ran for minutes, until he saw the heavens quake. A lightning attack came from the heavens as everything went white. Despite him being so far already, he was thrown by the shockwave that obliterated the area. He tried to send out his senses to pick up something after the attack, but there was nothing. No one remaining, not even his mother. He screamed in rage as blood leaked from his eyes. Something inside of him snapped that he was unable to protect another one of his loved ones. By the time the reinforcement arrived, all they saw was him, his eyes burning red. The Mizukage looked into his eyes and saw that they have changed. The boy gave him a nod, as the man knew that he was ready. In the flashback, main jutsu was dying, as Haku was trying to heal him with her own medical ninjutsu. Naruto grabbed her hand and moved her away. She was about to yell, but they felt something strange, all of them did. As they watched as their commander closed his eyes in concentration, a few tense minutes passed. When their nerves were about to explode, they saw it happen. Dark black lines went down his eyes. Naruto, Mei said in shock. When he opened his eyes, they were no longer blue or red. They were a mixture of yellow and green. I will not let him die, said Naruto. He was told never to use this jutsu, unless he had this power flowing through him, or he will die. As he went through Hansan, he had tried to master his power for years in his childhood, but never been able to. He had given up. He regretted that day when he gave up, because if he had not given up, perhaps he could have done something when the attack on the S program happened. So after that, he pushed himself and he was able to get a grasp of this power. His hands started to glow green. That's impossible, said Kisame. Sage Art, said Naruto. My tonic. Regeneration. But guys, it'll be in subscribe right here. For anything important to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. But I'm off for now. See you guys soon. Peace.